Hello, everyone. Thank you for letting me spend a few minutes of your time today. I appreciate it greatly. Hope you do too. Before I get where I'm going, I got to remind you to hit all the good buttons, right? Touch all the things you got to click on, tap on, whatever you do, and remind you that the books are available at authorjerrymitchell.com, or you can go to givegod90.com and follow the links from there. That's always a good idea. I haven't updated that lately, though. I need to get there and do some work on that. Okay. Some of you are going to wonder how in the world what I'm about to say has anything to do with living the way we're designed to live. And the answer is kind of easy if you think about it. And short side note, younger generation, you've got to stop relying on someone to tell you what to think and start learning how to think. Okay? Now that I've said that, you see, understanding the reason that every language changes, right? We can better understand how to communicate, and communicating in a way that someone else is completely able to understand what we are attempting to express. And that is important. It's very important. And I've used this example before. If I was speaking, English, if I was conversing with someone in English, but the other person didn't speak English, it's kind of easy to see how you're going to have a failure to communicate, right? We're not going to be able to understand each other. But if we're both speaking the same language, whether it's English, German, French, Hebrew, whatever it might be, if we're not defining words exactly the same way, we're going to come away with two different comprehensions of what was said. Misunderstanding. It's used often in situational comedies on American television, right? Somebody will say something, somebody else takes it differently. It's easy to see how that happens. Now, how does it happen? Well, it's should be familiar, right? Should be familiar, because we're going to look at Genesis 11, 1 through 8. Now, the whole world had one language. Whole world had one language and a common form of speech. Genesis 11:1. The whole world had one language, one common form of speech. And as people journeyed eastward, they found a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. They said to one another, "Let's make bricks, bake mortar thoroughly, use the brick instead of stone and tar instead of mortar," which was kind of dumb. Right? They knew what they were doing. They should have known what they were doing. Anyway, verse 4. "Come," they said, "let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens. That way we can make a name for ourselves and not be scattered all over the earth." Already have a problem. Now, who was leading them at this point? Our old nemesis Nimrod. Verse 5. "Then the Lord came down to see the city." That's a terrible translation. Sorry. "The Lord came down to see the city and the tower the sons of men were building. And the Lord said, if they've begun to do this as one people speaking the same language, nothing they devise is beyond them." Verse 6, "Nothing they devise is beyond them if they understand each other." If they communicate so that there is proper understanding. Verse 7, "Let's go down and confuse the language so that they will not understand each other's speech." So the Lord scattered them from there over the face of the earth, and they stopped building the city. That's why they called it Babel, for there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. It should be whole earth. Sorry, guys. Translation errors. And from that place, the Lord scattered them over the face of the earth. Apparently, they didn't feel comfortable using the word earth twice in that particular translation. Anyway, we should be able to recognize this for far more than God just confusing the languages to spread the people out, right? Each going their own way with the people they were able to communicate with. Now, I know because I did it. I did it myself. I did it. I did it. I had this image in my mind that people that went to bed speaking the same language, right? They woke up the next morning. Folks next door no longer spoke the same language I did. Kind of looked at each other and went our separate ways. But that's not the way people work. It takes some time. You might try to communicate with someone, right? You probably met people from other places who don't speak your language. And you kind of work out a form of communication, but you realize you can't easily communicate, so you give up and you go with the people who understand you. Some people treat churches and synagogues that way, don't they? I don't understand exactly what you're doing, so I'm going to go over here to this place, see if it's better over here. Think about that. You see, our Creator uses this confusion of language to cause people to disperse for many different reasons, right? It's that simple, many different reasons. At the plains of Shinar, the people were actually being manipulated by Nimrod. He had become an evil person. He probably always was, but he'd become an evil person. And he was attempting to lead them away from the Creator and worship of the Creator so they could worship him. Our Creator could not allow that to continue. He intervened. Now, the not so obvious question is, has this confusion of languages ever stopped? And if it continues, who's causing it? You see, you have to learn to ask the questions that most people don't think about. Now, before you say it stopped, right? Or before you say, well, there's at least one particular Christian denomination I know that say, well, the day of Pentecost reversed what happened at the Tower of Babel. And no. Since the first day the language was confused, it began changing. Someone would say something. Someone else may take it one way or another. Excuse me for just a second. Sorry for that interruption. I had to sneeze. Someone would say something. Someone else would take it differently, right? It began changing. The intent of the meanings of words changed. The English word cool, we use it for a lot of things, right? Originally, it meant slightly cold. Makes sense, right? But in the mid-18th century, a long time ago, they would see cool water as calm water. And so somebody began using it as calm, cool water. And then it went from there. It meant calm or composed, not like to compose a letter, but, to be a composed situation. Early 20th century, it became slang for great or desirable. Today, if you don't know what else to say, you just go, cool, right? If you're, that's how we are. In English, in America anyway, in the United States. Another word that I have come to almost despise. Oh, I hate this word anymore. Gender. It was strictly a grammatical term, used for nouns and pronouns, that kind of thing. Had to do with grammar, didn't have anything to do with biology until about the 15th century, people started using it as a biological term. Probably the same reason, but not, in the 15th century up until the mid 20th century, it was very sparsely used. And probably for the same reason that in the mid 20th century it became more popular, because the biological term sex became a verb instead of a noun. That's all I'm going to say about that. Today there's a lot of, I'll say this, in the United States today, and this is a sad commentary on our society, there are people who cannot define gender, okay? They don't know what it is, what it means. Sad commentary. But language does continue to be confused. It didn't stop 4,000 years ago. And sometimes it is still confused by our Creator. And he uses it when he causes people to move around, go from place to place. But other times, it is confused by evil people because they want to drive a wedge between people, between mankind and itself, mankind and its Creator. And that brings me to this very important point. When we live the way we are designed to live, that will help us know the difference between when our Creator is causing the confusion between people so that they will move around, and when evil is attempting to drive a wedge between people. Good example, okay? Someone uses a derogatory word in an accusing way to describe a person or an entire group of people based on some prejudice. Race, lifestyle, religion, ethnicity, whatever reason. If you're attempting to drive a wedge between people and you're using language to do it and changing the meaning of words to do it, that is evil. No two ways of getting around it. You see, two Christians of different denominations can be friends without approving of the way each other worship. And they can do that without accusing the other person of being some kind of antichrist. A black person and a white person can be friends without accusing each other of being racist. One nation can actually live peaceably next to another nation without accusing each other of some atrocity. And all of that can happen right up into the point that they stop being able to understand what the other person is attempting to say, what they're trying to express. Because that's when trouble begins. When you stop understanding me or I stop understanding you, that's where trouble starts. I've gotten into the habit. If I'm speaking with someone and they say something and I'm thinking, that's not the way I'm defining that word, I ask, how are you defining this particular word in this sentence? Because obviously I'm thinking something different. And I attempt to stop that misunderstanding right there. That's where I attempt to stop that misunderstanding. Some people think, oh, you think you're better than me because you don't know what I'm talking about? No, I want to know what you're saying. And regular listeners are going to know that there's a lot of times that I will define words that I use so that you know what I'm trying to say. Sometimes I'm a terrible explainer. It's just that simple. Sometimes, what I think in my head and what comes out of my mouth might be two different things. So I attempt to define words when I think there may be a confusion so that you understand exactly what I'm trying to say so that we can avoid that confusion. Now, sometimes, probably quite often, what I say may offend you because when I'm speaking it, it's just truth, and truth offends people. When I quote the Bible, it offends people, believe it or not. There's a lot of people that are offended by the truth. It running a little longer than I intended, but a long time ago, 7 or 8 years ago, I had a lady email me and tell me that my biggest problem is that I believe the Bible. If that's her greatest criticism of me, I'll take it. I will take it. I will take it. So think about, here's your homework for the week, all right? Think about how you use language, because language is a very, very strange thing. It's a very strange thing. It gives us the ability to communicate, but it also has the ability through miscommunication to cause trouble. So don't just assume that the people you're speaking with understand exactly what you're saying. Sometimes you need to go that little extra bit to avoid that misunderstanding. So think about how you use language. Just because you know and understand what you're saying doesn't mean the person that you're speaking with understands. Something to think about until next time. And until then, I do wish you many, many blessings, everyone.